Hi everyone, it's Adriana, and today we're going to be making mini geometric heart pops. So geometric or really angular shapes are very trendy right now, and this is a geometric heart pop mold. It is, however, very large compared to the regular geometric heart mold that I use to make my heart chocolate bombs. And the other thing is that this mold is really hard to find right now. So it's a really cool mold to have, but I'll show you the size difference. So if you use the jumbo mold, I use more than 2 ounces of chocolate to create that pop on the right, the purple one. But for the mini hearts, I use about a little bit less than 1 ounce of chocolate for each pop. So this miniature size is actually really useful if you just want a smaller dessert, or if you're selling these, for instance, it's probably more economical for you to make a bunch of these little ones rather than the jumbo one. But I want to use this jumbo size mold as an example because I want to show you exactly where the stick enters the bottom of the heart, because that's where we're going to cut. So yes, we are going to be cutting into this mold because to my knowledge, this type of miniature geo heart pop mold does not exist. And I've studied these silicone baking molds probably more than any human ever should, and so I've seen a lot of molds and it's pretty straightforward. I'm going to walk you through every step, so don't worry, you're going to have something completely custom and unique by the end. So the first thing you're going to want to do is cut the entire thing in half. Next, grab the exact popsicle stick that you will be using for these pops. So see the 3 lines? That shortest one is going to tell us how long across to cut. Now let's see how far up from the bottom of the heart we should make the incision. Notice the position in the jumbo heart cavity. To me, it looks like it's about 2/3 of the way up of that bottom V region of the heart. Then identify that same region in the miniature geo heart mold. Okay, with a really sharp X-Acto knife, cut across the length using that bottom line as a guide for how far to cut across. And always err on the side of being too small first. Then insert your popsicle stick and then pull back a little bit to pull some of the silicone out. What we're going to do is trim very little off the edge of that hole to create kind of a rectangular hole in the bottom of the mold. The reason we have to do this is because if we don't trim it into a rectangular shape, the silicone ends up squeezing the stick and pushing it up into the air or down towards the countertop. So we want it to be kind of straight right into the heart since we don't have any support system, and so we have to kind of cut a rectangular hole by doing this. And again, you're going to err on the side of being conservative with your cuts. And once you've done one side of the stick, flip the whole thing over and repeat the same thing on the bottom. Try to be consistent with the position of your cuts, but if you're off by a little bit, I wouldn't worry too much because these pops just come out so cute. Okay, so look around your kitchen for something to support the sticks while they dry. We're trying to mimic the stick support right here. So the best way I found to do this was just grab a big tray and then find something like this spatula I have right here, so that when you put a popsicle stick inside the mold, it should just rest right on top of it very comfortably, and then you can have something press it down if you have some sticks that are pointing up. So for me, that was actually another spatula and it just worked out really well, but you can use whatever you find in your kitchen. All right, set that aside for now and go ahead and melt 6 ounces of chocolate. This is compound white chocolate from Mercken's, and I melt it on 30-second intervals, stirring between each interval. Takes about 1 minute and 20 seconds total. I'm going to color my white chocolate using Color Mill in Rose. This is my favorite new chocolate food coloring. It is oil based and so is specifically made for chocolate. Grab your first set of molds and pour in chocolate until each cavity is about halfway full. Use a paintbrush or a small spoon to bring chocolate up to the sides. Dump out all the excess chocolate, then use a long spatula or knife to scrape off the top. Tidy up the edges if you see any bald or thin spots. Place your mold on top of the tray along with your stick support and then insert all the popsicle sticks. Place your weight to hold all the sticks down while you prepare the second mold. Allow this to chill in the fridge for about 5 to 10 minutes or until completely firm. Once they're ready, apply a second coat of chocolate only on the sides and the very bottom where the stick enters the chocolate. After you paint each cavity, make sure to scrape it clean, because the cleaner you keep the edges throughout this entire process, the cleaner it'll be when you pull the whole thing out at the end. Then place all of your molds back into the fridge for another 5 to 10 minutes to firm up again. Once the chocolate is set, the pops are now ready to fill. This is my chocolate graham cracker cake pop mix. It's super easy to make. It's from my easy cakesicle filling video. I will leave a link for you in the description box below. It's basically just graham crackers, cocoa powder, a little bit of sugar, and milk. and I don't know why, but it tastes like chocolate cake, but it's a good substitute if you don't have any cake lying around. So the first thing you're going to want to do whenever you make cakesicles or pops like this is take a little bit of that mix and stick it right underneath the stick first. That's going to provide support so that if you accidentally push too hard on the stick, it won't crack the chocolate. Speaking of the popsicle sticks, if you are nervous about cracking the chocolate by pushing too hard, maybe accidentally, you can put the spatula underneath like I did here, and that'll just provide a little bit of extra support. So continue to fill with that mix all around the inside of the heart. Just make sure that you leave a gap at the top about 1/8 of an inch to about 1/4 of an inch, because we're going to backfill with chocolate to close the whole thing up. And if you overfill, it ends up looking kind of messy, and we want a nice flat back, and we don't want to carry any of the crumbs over into the chocolate. Once you've filled all of the hearts, go ahead and pour about a tablespoon over the back of each heart. Then jiggle the mold a little bit to allow the chocolate to settle, and then I like to use a paintbrush to make sure that it's completely covered on the back. You can jiggle it again to make sure that everything is completely settled and that there are no air bubbles before taking your long knife and scraping off all of the excess chocolate. You can also use your knife to kind of spackle in any holes if you see any, like with mine. So once you're done cleaning up all of the edges, stick this in the fridge for at least 10 minutes. You want it to be completely firm before removing them from the mold. And compared to removing other things from silicone molds, this has to be one of the easiest to remove. All you have to do is pull away the silicone because it's very flexible, and then push the stick up from the bottom and it should just release very easily. And to decorate these, I just painted on a little bit of metallic chocolate dust on top.